just to invite you to invite others to share this video with others today. It's very important. You know, last time we met, which was Monday, we talked about the new Trump Care program, the plan that was passed on last Thursday by the Trump administration and the House of Representatives for a new Republican health plan, the Americans with Health Care Act. The Americans Health Care Act. And we talked about some of the issues, some of the problems, some of the situations that will arise. How you doing, Teresa? My dear heart. I'm just coming on a little early so I can encourage people to come and be a part of this. Invite somebody. Share this video with someone. It's very important. We're on live. And I enjoy your comments when we get into certain topics. In particular, I think this one many people can really attest to, have lived one way or another, either directly or through people that they know. We're going to be discussing mental health. Taboo too long. Mental health, taboo too long. So, come on, folk. We're going to be talking about depression in particular. So come on and join us. Invite others to join us. You know, right now we're in a very precarious position in this country. The country is filled with fear and trepidation. They don't know what's going to happen with their lives, with the services that they have, with the benefits that they receive. All these clouds that are hovering over this nation right now. And the uncertainty will certainly arise even the more people with depression. People will be becoming depressed in a sense of hopelessness and helplessness. So we want to help them get through what we all are going to have to go through in these next 4 years, if not longer. So invite somebody, encourage someone, share this video, share the information. You can find it on my page. Just share it with somebody else that you know. Share it on this page right here. I know that there's a section called share in the corner of this particular site. Push that button. It'll give you a list of all your friends. Send it to everyone that you think should hear it. Send it to people that you may not even think need it themselves. And they may not need it themselves. They may know somebody. Thank you, Teresa, for sharing it. I appreciate that. I really do. Share it with somebody. Information like that needs to be shared. Needs to be a sense of you sharing your ideas and my expressing my ideas and then getting them all together. There are people out there that are suffering. And many of them are suffering alone. Because nobody cares enough to try to help you in times of depression. In times of even pre-depression, you know, where we get ready to become depressed, that things are moving in that direction, where our minds and our hearts and our spirits are moving in that direction. Sometimes we need to be guided. Sometimes we need a kind word instead of an accusatory word. We're going to talk about that at great length in just a moment. So I'm going to give you another moment. Once again, share this video. Tell somebody else about it. And in about a minute, we're now at 2:59 or thereabouts. In about a minute, we will be going on full blast with another episode of Chatting with the G-Man. I'm the G-Man, if you didn't know. And we're going to really be talking about this for a couple of weeks. Today, we're going to be talking about depression. Next week, on Monday, we're going to be talking about the history of mental health. And the scandalous history, really. The tragic history. The devastating history. How men have looked and viewed and treated people with mental illnesses. People with schizophrenia, paranoia, depression, so many. ADHD, autism, all fall into the spectrum of mental health. How people are misunderstood and mistreated cruelly in history. And continue in many areas, even in civilized nations. World nations, world power nations like the United States of America. I've seen how people treat people who have mental illnesses. Almost like they're contagious, like you can catch it or something. No kind word, no sympathetic gesture of love and kindness. Okay, we're about 3 o'clock. We're going to get into our lesson. Once again, invite somebody to join us. It's very important. As you know, I am a strong advocate for the rights of people with challenged abilities, what the world knows as disabilities. I've always been a fighter for the underdog all my life, even when I was a little boy. When I saw somebody being mistreated, I championed their cause. I always fought for the underdog, maybe because I was born myself with a physical disability, a physical challenge. I was born with cerebral palsy. As a teenager, because of the way I walked, because of my cerebral palsy, I developed a problem with my good hip, causing me to have to be operated on 4 times, ultimately to have the hip removed and the spikes and pins to replace it. At 12, I developed asthma. I've had heart congestion in my life. Other ailments. Good afternoon to my brother-in-law, Bobby. God bless you, Deidre. Welcome. So, I've always been an advocate for those who have physical, developmental, and mental challenges. I went to a school for 2 years. It was a rehab center in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And there I met everybody who had any sort of disability, any sort of physical challenge. I met people who were small in stature. Little people, they call themselves now. I met people who had conditions like myself, cerebral palsy. People who had advanced cases of diabetes. People who had even developmental issues. People with Down syndrome. I met them up there. People with spinal bifida and spinal cord injuries. I met them up there. Multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophy, cystic fibrosis, Parkinson's disease. Good afternoon to Muriel. God bless you. And Darlene, Shirley. Good to see all of you this afternoon. I want you to share this. It's very important. My bi-weekly broadcast, as you know, every Monday and every Friday at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, are geared primarily to talk about the issues that impact directly or indirectly people with challenged abilities. Today I'm going to spend some time discussing one of the most taboo, and that means forbidden, areas of challenged abilities. We're going to talk about mental health. Mental health this afternoon. People with mental health challenges, in particular, persons who are classified as clinically depressed. I will be dealing with the stigma. There's a stigma when you say that there's something wrong with you mentally, that you're going through mentally, or that they see that you're going through something mentally. There's a stigma to that. And it's a bad stigma, a demoralizing stigma, a cruel and even torturous stigma. The way people think about people with mental illness, it's almost like there's something wrong with them in almost like a contagious sense. Don't want to be around them, annoyed by them. Certainly don't understand or can't appreciate what they're going through, certainly. In most communities, especially in the African American community, I can speak on that. Even the mention of someone needing a psychiatrist or a psychologist to handle his or her mental issue, there's a stigma to it. They're seen as individuals who are weak, pathetic, who are crazy and insane. You know your crazy Uncle Joe or your crazy Aunt Harriet. The ones that always act odd. They're the oddballs of the family. And most time we treat them like the black sheep of the family. Those that are quite a little bit off center. Act peculiar. Strange. We have a problem with that. I think part of it is because of our religious background, you know, particularly in the black church. Any kind of challenge, any kind of challenged ability, any kind of disability that somebody possesses, it's almost like a sign of some kind of sin and perversion and blemish in them. There's something wrong. It shouldn't be that way. If you're in the church, you should not be depressed. Why are you depressed? You got Jesus. Why are you still walking with a limp? Why are you still in the wheelchair? Why can't you hear? Why can't you see? Why can't you do this and that? You got Jesus, and he's a miracle worker. For those who have mental challenges, they'll tell them, well, you know, when the Lord took the man and was demon possessed, you know, they really attached mental illness with demon possession. Even said Mary Magdalene was demon possessed. She had a mental illness, but then Christ came along and she became whole and she became who we all know her to be, one of the heroes of the church. My brother-in-law Robert says, I get that all the time. Oh, yes. But we're going to talk about bipolar. We're going to talk about depression. We're going to talk about ADHD. We're going to talk about these things, even paranoia and schizophrenia. Today we're concentrating on depression, what it means, what it really honestly means, and the effects that it has. And maybe you are depressed yourself and don't even know it. You can be a functional depressed individual. We're going to talk about some of this stuff in just a minute. But I want to get the backdrop of how society views people who have mental illnesses, who have mental issues. Don't have to be an illness. It doesn't have to be full-blown, if you will. But even the idea that there's something wrong with you in any form or fashion, whether it be a physical disability, developmental disability, or mental disability, challenged ability I prefer. There's something not quite right with you. You can't be right and be depressed. Where's your faith? Where's your faith? Bobby, I think he's a little schizophrenic. He said, I'm not bipolar, I'm a Gemini. Amen. Okay, let's go on. Now, the range of mental illnesses vary. You have people that are have a mental illness that's intense. Just like there are people who have physical challenges. There are people that can walk. There are people that can walk with a cane. There are people that can walk with crutches. There are people that can walk with a walker. There's people that can't walk at all. There's people that can't talk at all. It ranges. Even depression, you can have mild depression, which means you're only going to have it for a little while, and it only impacts you in certain ways, but it does not affect the efficiency of your life. So like any other challenge, the range varies from one person to another. It changes from one person to another. There is no general rule that fits everybody about everything. Now, some of the more prevailing or more, pronounced, or the ones that are most popular, I don't want to use the word popular, but the most well-known mental illnesses include autism. We all know autism. ADD or ADHD. Eating disorders like anorexia, and bulimia. These are some of the mental disorders. Oppressive, compulsive disorder. You know, those people that this are really, really clean, and every little thing has to be in a certain spot, and if there's not, it just knocks them off kilter. We have schizophrenia, paranoia, anxiety, and panic, dementia, and depression. These are a few of the many. We can talk multiple personalities. So many more. But these are some of the more prevalent, at least in our society today, than some others. But this afternoon, I want to deal with depression. I want to deal with depression. I want to clarify it. I want to define it. And I want you to see whether you fall into the category or whether you know somebody who falls into the category, or whether you have been, but maybe no longer in that category. The medical perspective of depression and definition of the same is this. Depression is a common mental disorder that causes people to experience a depressing mood swings, if you will, loss of interest or pleasure, feeling of guilt or low self-worth, disturbed sleep or appetite, low energy, and they can't concentrate on any one thing for any length of time. It seems like the concentration floats. They cannot keep centered. This is the definition of depression. Now let's be clear. Being truly depressed is different from feeling bad, sad, or down. You can feel down, you can feel sad, but unhappiness is something which everyone feels at one time or another, and is usually caused by some unfavorable circumstance or situation in your life. That's unhappiness. That's being sad. That's being down. We've all experienced that. Some of us have experienced depression on different levels. But if what you're feeling is you're sad and you're unhappy and you just feel a sense of being down a little bit, you're not upbeat as you normally are. Well, look at the circumstances. Most time it's because of that. Something happened that disturbed you. Something happened that troubled you. Something bothered you, and so now you're a little sad about it. You heard some news and you're a little sad about it. You're not devastated by it, but it does sadden you. Brings you down. Your mood changed a little bit. You were upbeat, now you're not quite as upbeat. A little melancholy now. But this is not depression, not clinical depression. You can say you're depressed, and many people use the word depressed, but it's not clinical. The medical world would not consider that clinical depression. A person experiencing depression will experience intense emotions of anxiety, hopelessness, negativity, helplessness, and the feelings stay with them instead of going away. So you may catch me in a bad mood, but maybe 5-10 minutes later, I'm okay again. I may have been just hungry, and I eat my dinner, and my moods change. Or maybe I'll just let it go. Being angry, upset about something, it's not worth it, so I'll let it go. It's like water running off the duck's back. For a moment, the water's on the duck's back, but it soon rolls away. Depression doesn't do that. True depression does not do that. It lingers a while. Sometimes for a little while, and a lot of times for a long while. A feeling of anxiety, helplessness, hopelessness, negativity, and feelings that stay with you for a while. Does not easily go away. Depression can happen to anyone. Don't think because you have a PhD. Don't think because you're a psychiatrist or a psychologist that you can't be depressed. Let me tell you something. It used to be a statistic, I don't know if it's true any longer, but one of the highest groups that committed suicide were psychiatrists. That's surprising, isn't it? I haven't looked at it recently, but I know years ago, one of the highest categories of persons in their profession that committed suicide were psychiatrists. People that dealt with the mind on a daily basis. Maybe they took in too much information from the people that they were treating and maybe got to be too personal for them or whatever. But whatever the case may be, they were high on, I would venture to say because they were. Deidre says no one is exempt. No one's exempt. If a psychiatrist who deals with the mind and the problems of the mind and mental health issues all the time, if he studied it and dissected it and all of that type of thing and have treated it for years, and he and she can still become depressed, certainly anyone can. Anyone can. It doesn't matter. Your age doesn't matter. You can be a child and still be depressed. Middle age, older person, you can still be depressed. Things can still bring you down to this extent. Not just bringing you down, meaning you're sad for a little while. I mean to the extent that it impacts your life, how you function in your life. Living with depression is difficult for those who suffer from it, and for their family, friends, and colleagues that also have to experience it with them. Good afternoon, Angela. We're talking about depression today. Some of the things that you can look for in determining whether you suffer from clinical depression are these: tiredness and loss of energy, sadness that does not go away, loss of confidence and self-esteem, difficulty concentrating, not being able to enjoy that are usually things that are usually pleasurable and enjoyable. Somehow or another, they don't make you laugh anymore. They don't break you out of your menage of feeling bad and down and lonely. Telling that good old joke that always would bring you out doesn't bring you out anymore. Seeing the smiling faces of the people that always make you happy, it doesn't have that same impact with you anymore. You're in a different state now. You're in a different place now, in your mind and in your heart. Feeling anxious all the time. I'm always anxious. Always anxious. Never can be comfortable. Never can be satisfied. I'm just anxious. Always looking for the hammer to drop somewhere along the way. Always looking for something to go wrong and in my situation to get worse. And even if I don't know how it's going to do it, I know it's going to happen. Avoiding other people, even your closest friends and your family. You don't want to even be around them, really. They're just too happy. They're too upbeat. You just don't want to be around them. You just don't want to. You don't want to have to intermingle with them and try to act like you in a happy state. Feeling of hopelessness and helplessness. There's no hope. There's no hope. There's no hope. There's no hope. Oh, if I was younger, if this could have happened 10 years ago, if I could have chosen that instead of this. But now it's just no hope. I'm in a hopeless, helpless situation. Nobody can help me. Nobody can help me. I'm in this all by myself. Nobody can help me. Sleeping problems. Difficulties in getting off to sleep and not staying asleep long enough. Very strong feelings of guilt and worthlessness. You're beating yourself for what you did do. You're beating yourself over, the things you did say or what happened in the past and all that. You feel you're worthless, or people drumming that into you. You ain't nobody without me. You ain't nothing. And you begin to believe that okie doke. And you put you in a depressed state. Finding it hard to function at work, college, school, or any other activity that you're involved in. Whether professional or recreational. Loss of appetite. The loss of sexual drive. Even sexual problems. That's why a lot of times when a man are impotent or a woman just cannot receive the enjoyment that she wants to receive, it's not always physical. Sometimes it's psychological. Sometimes it's rooted in depression. Physical aches and pains. Yes, it can express itself in physical aches and pains. Part of it is because you're so inactive, you're so isolated, you're not doing anything much. You're not enjoying life. You're not out there participating in life. You're cloistered in your house, in your room, in your bed, against the wall, wherever you are, and that's where you are, that's where you stay. You may go out to work, maybe not. It all matters how I feel. I know people even in my own family. Sometimes they can't even go to work. They're just so depressed. Just can't do it, can't function. Thinking about suicide and death. What's the use? What's the use? I'd be better off dead than alive. Everybody would be better off without me being around. What's the point? And then you go the next step. And that is to not only just to think about suicide and death, but you self-harm yourself. You begin to move toward self-harming. And you can self-harm yourself like some people I know. Good afternoon, Peggy. Some people that I know and that I've heard about begin to slash themselves, begin to cut themselves, begin to scar themselves. Or attempt a suicide. Literally attempt to kill themselves. Self-harm. Self-harm. Now, if you have any of these 4 or more of these symptoms, I would advise you to go see your personal physician. Let me read them again very quickly. I want to just say it very quickly so that we can move on. But I'm going to say it without comment this time, so you can just get these are some of the symptoms of if you are possibly a candidate to be called a person in a depressive state. Clinical depression. This is some of the symptoms. Tired and loss of energy. Sadness that does not go away. Loss of self-confidence. Difficulty concentrating. Not being able to enjoy things that are usually pleasurable or interesting. Feeling anxious about everything all the time. Avoiding other people. Sometimes even your closest friends and family. Feeling helplessness and hopelessness. Sleeping disorders. Difficulties in going to sleep and difficulty in staying asleep. Very strong feelings of guilt and worthlessness. Finding it hard to function at work, school, or in college. Loss of appetite. Loss of sexual drive. Sexual problems. Physical aches and pains. Thinking about suicide and death. And then ultimately self-harming yourself, either by scarring yourself, cutting yourself, doing things that are destroying your body, and ultimately even trying to attempt to commit suicide. If you have 4 or more of these symptoms for most of the day, every day, for more than 2 weeks, 4 or more of these symptoms once a day, every day, for more than 2 weeks, you should go to your physician. And don't worry about the stigma of people. If your physician says, I'm going to give you a prescription to go to a psychiatrist or a psychoanalyst or a psychologist or some kind of therapeutical counselor, you take them up on it. It's important for yourself. Many times, because of social pressures and conditioning, many people who have this condition feel that they are being silly or overreacting to the symptoms that they are feeling. And that all it will take is a little bit of time and everything will be all right. All it'll take is a little bit of time, everything will be all right. What did I say? If it's every day, all day, 2 weeks, do something with it. Oh yes, you can be sad, Don't jump. I told you a minute ago, sadness is not necessarily depression, though depressed people are sad. Being sad does not necessarily mean that you're depressed. But if it seems like it stays the same, it never goes away. It's heightened now. It's advancing. It's becoming more common. It's becoming more often. For not just 1 week, but 2 weeks, and you can't shake this thing. You better see somebody. Have a talk. Sometimes that's all you need is a little talk, a few sessions, somebody to talk to, listen to you. Good afternoon, Brother Bishop. Or that's Chester. God bless you, Chester. There are even times that our own family and friends will say, just get over it. I don't see why you feel that way. You think too much. After all, it could be worse. Have you heard people say that? Oh, get over it. Can't be that bad. Could be worse. Well, some more caring folk will say this. They'll say, you are not the only one going through something. I go through something every day. And you don't see me being depressed, do you? They remind me of Job's friends. You know, Job's friend, they came to comfort Job, but they actually were more accusing Job of doing something he had no business doing. Job thought his friends were going to come and they were going to help him through his depression. He had a right to be depressed, didn't he? Didn't lose faith, but he had depression. Lost all of his children, his cattle, his land. Lost his servants. Even his wife told him to curse God and die. Now here he finds himself filled from top to bottom with boils oozing from his body. He smelled bad. He was in a bad, bad situation. And he was a good man. A man that God himself said, a man that fears me. He's an upright man. But he went through. See, sometimes we think because we finally got the Lord in our lives, and because we accepted God, and we walk and we sing in the choir, and we preach in the pulpit, and we serve on the deacon board and the usher board and the steward board and the trustee board, that we aren't going to have no more problems anymore. But you look at the Bible, all of them men had problems. And they were men stronger believers than you and me both put together in many instances. Let me tell you the truth. Yet they had their problems. They even had their moments of depression. Remember Isaiah? Isaiah just defeated the prophets of Baal. Defeated them in victory. 500 prophets. He defeated them. One prophet of God defeated 500 prophets of Baal. Then he received notice that the queen was after him. Queen Jezebel, one woman, was after to get him. He became so depressed that he said, I ain't doing this no more. I'm going to hide in a cave. I'm going to dig deep into the ground. I'm going to be like a mole. You won't be able to find me. Isaiah. That's the same Isaiah that was so righteous that he didn't even taste death. He was caught up in a chariot and went to heaven. Isaiah! Elijah. I'm sorry. The Lord, thank you, as I share the word, the Holy Spirit will bring back to your remembrance. It was not Isaiah. He was another prophet. This was the prophet Elijah. Elijah. So let me correct that. It was Elijah that defeated the prophets of Baal, who was an idol god. Destroyed them, actually. Yay, Elijah! Yay, Elijah! Then he got word that the queen was after his head. And the same thing he did to those 500 Baal prophets, she was going to do to him. Got so scared, so depressed, so forlorn, that he ran away, hid away, stole away, got away. And said, I'm the only one that's still a prophet. God had to tell him, no, you ain't. You're not the only one that's a prophet. You're not the only one that's a prophet. I have many more prophets than you. See, that's a Feeling of loneliness, remember talking about before? Helplessness, hopelessness, aloneness. Nobody knows what I'm going through. See? Even some of the greatest men, greatest women that we've ever known have had their moments of depression. But these unenlightened words of, quote, encouragement, like I just said to you, what do you ain't the only one going through. Man, you better get over it. You ain't, I've been through things myself. And I got over it. I didn't get depressed. I just sang a couple of songs. And I got over my feelings of sadness. You can get over it too. I got over it, you can get over it. We better stop dismissing people's pain just because we can't relate to that pain. I would venture to say he or she can endure things you can't endure. Yeah, maybe you can endure what they're going through. Maybe you don't need a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a psychoanalyst or anybody else to get you through something like that. She says, well, that's somehow that's how I feel. Jesus says, well, sometimes that's how I feel. Yes. Oh, get over it, girl. Ain't all that. You ain't the only one going through. I've been through too. So everybody has their points. Everybody has their abilities to do this or to do that, to take this or to take that. Some things I can't take, you can take. Some things you can take, you can't take, I can. But either case, appreciate and validate the reason for what they're going through. Don't dismiss it. Don't minimize it. Don't vilify it. Validate it. It's how she feels. And her feelings have merit. It's how he feels. And his feelings have merit. His feelings should not be measured by my feelings. His response should not be measured by how I would respond. What matters is how they feel about it. And what can I do to help them feel better about themselves? Not try to make it so that I don't see why you feel like this is so much on you. You don't know what they're going through. First of all, we don't know about each other's lives. Not every step of the way. We may see somebody deal with something right now and we say, I don't know what, well, man, that's not no big thing. Yeah, but you don't know what their life has been. Maybe that's the 10th thing that happened to them. Maybe what they happened to them the first time has led them to believe and to accept what's happening to them now. You don't know a person's life. Just because you know what's happening at this moment in their life does not mean you know what's happened in their life. If somebody keep on from your mother all the way to your husband, to your children, everybody else in your life tell you you're good for nothing, then when you start acting like you're good for nothing and you begin to believe that you're good for nothing, so you don't value your own worth, that's not just because your boyfriend said it. It's because maybe your daddy said it too 20 years ago. Maybe your mother called you ain't no better than your father. Or your daddy said, you're just as bad as your mother. And now here this man 20 years later, after a few other people in between time said the same thing about you, now this man has come along 20 years later saying the same thing. After a while, you begin to believe that I'm hopeless and I'm helpless and I'm worthless. Not because of the one incident, but because of the conglomeration of many things that happens in our lives. Our character is not based on one moment. Our characters and who we are based on a combination of things that have happened along the way. And to be honest with you, the thing that really impacts who you are happened when you were real little. Some things you won't even know in your conscience. That's why a psychiatrist and a psychologist can be good for you, because they can take you back to when you were 4 and 5 and something happened you don't even know. You don't remember yet. Somebody said something. Somebody did something when you were that age. that has festered and grown over the years. If you felt that you were worthless at 10, don't you know that you're going to begin to pick people that will continue to perpetuate that thought about you? You're going to pick bullies in your life that don't care about you, that will tell you the same thing that person told you at 5 and 6 and 7 and 10 years old. You ain't no good. Without me, you would be nothing. I'm the one that makes you anything you are. You can't go nowhere. You can't do nothing on your own. It just reinforces what's been told you all your life. And you begin to believe that okie doke. And you begin to act on that okie doke. And you embrace that okie doke. Until something in you begins to stir. And then that's when the depression comes in. Because something is stirring in you that tells you, no, I'm not like that. But then, oh, yes, I am. There's a conflict. There's a conflict in your spirit. It's a conflict in your soul, in your mind. There's a conflict of who you really are and what people have always said you were. I believe that's where depression comes in. It's rooted in that. In many instances, not always. We're going to see in a minute. Sometimes it can be genetic. Sometimes it can be a biological helter-skelter kind of thing. Offset of something or another. But in many instances, I believe that. The depression does not come because of one incident alone. Now, of course, there are some traumatic incidences, certainly, that can knock you off your feet in a moment. They're so devastating. I understand that. But in many instances, it's a collection, it's a conglomeration of things over time. And being reinforced, the things you believed about yourself, being reinforced again and again and again and again until you believe that's who you are. And you allow other people to identify who you are. You better tell somebody about this show today. Somebody needs to hear this. That's watching right now, somebody dancing. It's watching somebody now, two girls fighting in the schoolyard on YouTube. You better tell them they need to watch this. Somebody pulling their hair out and all that kind of stuff is foolishness. Somebody talking some crazy stuff. And we got millions of people watching that. Robert says, I don't excuse detrimental actions against me or my fam because of another's psychological disposition. And Deidre, she says, oh, she's just sharing. God, thank you, Deidre, for sharing this. I want everybody to share this because we're going to get into more. This is just the tip of the iceberg. What we're just talking about. That will set you up. We're setting you up. Many factors may play a role in depression, including genetics, brain biology, chemistry, and life events as trauma, loss of a loved one, a difficult relationship, an early childhood experience, or any stressful situation can lead to your moving toward depression. And like I said before, in most instances, it's not just one thing. Think about yourself. Think about yourself. Think about your own life. And good afternoon, Joyce. She celebrated her birthday as well, my wife and some others. Think about yourself in your life. You know, if you have ever experienced depression in your life, and we just described what depression is, if you've ever have ever experienced depression, I don't mean, like I said before, it doesn't mean being sad or feeling down for a moment, feeling sad for a while. It's feeling anxious, mood swings, self-esteem issues that you can't shake off. That just lingers. We're going to talk about the different types of depression. But how many of you can really say, how many of you honestly can say, whatever I am, however I think, Whoever I have grown to be, it's been because of many situations in my life. Yes, that one thing started it off, but there was other things that reinforced it. Maybe your father did leave when you were a child. But then as you're trying to find a father figure in your life, they too disappoint you. They too say what you think your father meant when he left is, you're not worth it. As a child, you begin to think you're not worth it. I know when I was a child, my father left me when I was 6 years old, me and my brother. But I had a physical challenge, and I internalized some of that. I felt that because I was a son with a disability, that he didn't really want to be bothered with me. I couldn't do the things. I was his firstborn child. And I thought that, maybe he just felt that, I couldn't be the boy he would like to have had. And, in some ways, I haven't totally gotten rid of that thought. I think that, I really believe that, in his, I don't think he did it maliciously now. I don't believe that, but I think, yes, I think most of the males in my family, except for my grandfathers, I'll say that. Most of the males in my family have never really taken the time to interact with me in the sense of going places and doing things with me that were fun. My grandfathers did. I was very close to my grandfathers. Both my grandfather Scott and my grandfather Pritchard, both of them living in Darby, Pennsylvania. I was very close to them. Very close to them. And my grandmother Pritchard. Those people, they looked beyond what I couldn't do. They always tapped in and found out what I could do. And so even some of my friends in Darby, Joyce is one, that I can say without a shadow of a doubt, she was one. We were all growing up. I was a little older, yes, but when we were younger, we were all younger. And, that crowd, my little group I had, the people that loved me there, even the people at Mount Zion Darby, people that loved me there, they saw something else. Yeah, they didn't ignore the fact, I walked a little different than the average person. They knew my right hand wasn't as strong as my left hand, and I was strong with my left hand, but weak with my right side. They knew all that good stuff. They knew it all. But they saw something else. And they didn't even let me get away with, well, I can't. No, you better get on out of there, boy. You better come on. Let's do it. Come on, let's go. And I'm going this way, place. But yes, you are a product of your environment. You're a product of your inheritance. You're a product of everything about you, both in your environment as well as your birth. Your bloodline has a part of you, and so does your environment. And what people feed you and what people say about you over and over again does dictate how you feel about yourself, for good or for bad. How many of you have been depressed? Wave your hands. Let me read it again. I'm going to read they said if you have 4 of these instances, you have been depressed. I'm going to read them again. Let me look at before that. Because I got that, I got that by just examining. I'm also an examiner. I also investigate everything I say. I want to make sure that it's valid, and some things I do know, but other things I want to make sure what I'm talking about. It says loss of self-confidence and self-esteem. That's one of the instances. Loss of self-confidence and self-esteem. Being tired all the time. Listless. Difficulty concentrating. Not being able to enjoy things that are usually pleasurable or interesting. Feeling anxious all the time. Avoiding other people, including family and friends. Feelings of helplessness and hopelessness. There's no way out of this situation. There's no hope. I'm just lost. I'm just trapped in this situation. Sleeping problems, whether it be insomnia, meaning you can't sleep at all, or you cannot sleep all the way through. You're always waking up. You're always being disturbed. You're always up and down. Very strong feelings of guilt or worthlessness. Finding it hard to function at work, college, school, or other places. Loss of appetite. Loss of sex drive or sexual problems. Good afternoon, my cousin, Lavinia. Physical aches and pains. Thinking about suicide and death. Self-harm. Cutting yourself. Scarring yourself. Even attempting suicide. Self-harm. Have you any 4 of these symptoms? If you have 4 or more of these symptoms and you have them every day for 2 weeks, every day, all day, for 2 weeks, that every day, for all the day, you have a problem with concentrating, that you have a problem with being anxious, that you have a problem with enjoying life and the things that once made you have pleasure and were interesting to you, no longer interesting to you. You're having problems feeling a sense of hopelessness and helplessness. You're having problems feeling a sense of guilt and worthlessness. You have problems with that. You have problems with interacting with people at your work. Do you have problems with, you try to avoid people that are family and friends of yours? Have you lost your appetite? Have you lost your sex drive? Do you think about suicide and death? Even to the point of self-harming yourself. And you've done it for more days than you would like, and you do it all day for 2 weeks. You need to see a doctor. You need to see a doctor. And be true with yourself. Be true with yourself. Be honest with yourself. We're here on this program, even when we discuss challenges of different types, when we're talking about the law and everything. I'm here to help you to have a better life. I'm here to help you get out of where you are to where you need to be. I'm here not for you to say, oh yeah, it's okay with me, I'm doing fine. Don't tell me that. Don't tell yourself that. You can tell me anything. Tell me that your life is a bowl of cherries. You can tell me that. How you doing, Latanya? You can tell me that your life is full of a bowl of cherries all you want to, but you're deceiving yourself. You don't have to be, hopefully nobody's suicidal here, but I'm sure some have thought of it. You've thought at least enough part of it to say, I wonder what this is all about. Is it all worth it? Yeah, people will be better off without me. So this all leads, let me tell you something, suicide is the final plateau. After all these other things I just read, feeling bad, helplessness, hopelessness, that all comes first. That all comes first. Then comes suicide and attempted suicide. That's at the end of the journey. That's not the beginning of the journey. We need to be honest with ourselves. Unless you want to keep on deluding yourself. Oh yeah, everything's fine. Everybody loves me. Everybody supports me. Well, then why are you so miserable? Why doesn't it work out for you? Why do you fail? Why can't you succeed where you need to succeed? Because you're not being honest with yourself. We've all been there. I've been there. Feeling hopeless and helpless. I've been there. And like I said before, it's not just the moment. It's not just right now, but who we are. Who we are has been created from the beginning of our lives. Many things have made you who you are. Many issues have contributed to who you've become. Not just one, it's many issues that have contributed to who you are and what you've become. So let's I want people to be honest, because I want people, see, sometimes we want to defend against mental health issues because we've been stigmatized by it so long, and the world looks at it as being a sense of weakness, a sense of helplessness, a sense of even a sinister sense. Something about you is wrong. You're off kilter. You're an oddball. You're weird. You're peculiar. That we don't want to admit that we have a problem. Sometimes people express that problem by drinking too much. drugging too much, doing other antisocial things. That's right. These are signs of something. Depression can lead to antisocial behavior, like alcoholism, drug abuse, eating disorders like anorexia, bulimia, and obesity, morbid obesity. It can lead to that. And it leads to that when you do not begin to address the problem that you have, begin to address that you are depressed, that you do feel hopeless, that you do feel helpless, that some things just don't ever seem to work out in your life, that sometimes when you move one step, you're knocked back 2 steps. That's only you can answer that, Robert. Don't try to be Superman. Don't try to be Supergirl, Superwoman. Don't try to be that. Be who you are. Only when you can admit that you need help. Only when you can admit that you're not the strong man or the strong woman that you think you are, and that you need help to become all that God wants you to be, can you really break the hold that depression has on you. I'm not saying who's depressed on this thing. I don't know anybody well enough to say. I know one person on air, of course, my wife. But I mean, everybody else, I just know through knowing you. I don't know that deep in terms of some of this clinical stuff. I don't know. But you know. And stop trying to lie. Stop trying to hide it, because it's not what society considers what a man should be or a woman should be. We have to be honest with ourselves. And to be honest with you, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not mad at anybody about anything, because I'm trying to work out my own situations in my life. But I would like it to be that everyone can find a path that can bring them from where they are to where they need to be. See, as I said before, and I'll say it one more time, that not in conclusion, because I got a couple more points to make. But mental health is such a taboo, such a forbidden thing to talk about. Certainly a forbidden thing to have, and certainly a forbidden thing to admit to, that we deny it. We deny it. And because we deny it, we fail to get the help that we need. Because we deny it, it's like me, if I say, I don't have no cerebral palsy. I don't have cerebral palsy. I don't have that. I'm a Christian, and Christians can't have cerebral palsy, so I don't have cerebral palsy. I don't have a fused hip. I don't know what this thing about. I don't have no hip. I don't have no fused hip. I have a hip. I have a knee. I knew they took the knee out. No, they haven't. I have it. See, denial could be bad. Now, if I say I'm not going to be limited by my cerebral palsy, I'm not going to stop because of my not having a hip. If I say my knee is not going to stop me from accomplishing all that I need to accomplish in life, that's something else. But to admit that they don't exist, because by admitting that they exist, it kind of indicates that I'm weak somehow, or I'm not all there somehow. It's only going to hurt me in the end. And what does it matter if I'm the only one hurt? Well, let me tell you, we're never only one hurt. Always remember that. If you're not moving at full blast, if you're not doing everything that you can do, everybody around you's hurting one way or another. Your parents are hurt when you're not living up to a certain standard. Your parents are hurt. No, it does. Does it impact their life directly? In a way it does, because we're more than just flesh and blood. We're also heart. We do weep and cry and feel bad when our children, for example, or our grandchildren, for example, aren't living up to par and aren't doing what you would like them to do. We do feel that pain of that. We do. I don't care. Sometimes they can be hard nuts to break. I understand that completely. But they still are our children, and we do have a heart for them. Does that directly impact me? Actually, maybe not. But it does impact me, because I want my child to be he's not being right now. I want my child to accomplish what I wasn't able to accomplish. Yes, it does hurt me. It does impact my life. That sometimes you even internalize it. What did I not do that they turned out like this? What did I not say that they ended up making these decisions? So we always say, well, and people will say this all the time. Well, it only affects me. It doesn't only affect you. It doesn't only affect you. Your children, how they turn out, are largely a part of what you are. They turn out almost what you are. He says, your passion is appreciated. My depression and upbringing allows me to care less. Well, that is your option there. This is Bobby talking now. That's your option. I can't debate that, but I understand where your mind is coming from right now, because it's been revealed to me where your mindset is right now. But once again, then you're what we talked about. You're one of them symptoms of depression. Worthless, helpless, it don't matter. When you don't care anymore, when you've been beaten down so much you just don't care, that's one of the symptoms. That's one of the symptoms. Not caring. You have to care. That's all part of being who we are. We're caring people. Or we should. When we don't care about anything but ourselves, then that's a very isolated kind of existence. It's a very isolated kind of existence. And really, I would be afraid to be, too close to someone who doesn't care. Other than if I can help you out of that, I would want to do that. Help you out of that mindset. Does depression, we're going to get into that now. Bipolar depression. There's such a thing called, let's get into that right now, since Bobby talked about that. Let's get into that part. So if people would listen to me instead of trying to jump into doing what they're thinking, we're going to get into that. Let's get into the several types of depression. The first one is mild depression. Now, mild depression is described as mild because it has limited negative effect. In other words, let's say you just don't concentrate well. Your mind is easily distracted. If it's not to the extreme, you can still function. You can still be efficient in whatever you're trying to do. It's called mild depression. Then there's major depression. Major depression interferes with an individual's daily life, with eating, sleeping, and other everyday activities. Some people may experience only one episode, but it is more common to experience several episodes of major depression in a lifetime. It can lead to hospital admission if the person is so unwell that they are at risk to harm themselves. Then we have bipolar disorder. The mood swings in bipolar disorder can be extreme. From highs where the individual feels extremely elated and indestructible to lows where they may experience complete despair and suicidal feelings and lethargy. Sometimes people understand this, if you can understand that, then you can understand what we're saying here. But we have to understand these are some of the symptoms. Bipolar. Then you have postpartum. Women who have babies and it's called blue child syndrome. It's when you have a child and you get depressed and you get a sense of worthlessness. I don't know the details about that, but it's certainly it's called postnatal depression. Many new mothers experience what are called baby blues a few days after the birth. These feelings of anxiety and lack of confidence are very distressing, but in most cases last only a couple of weeks. Postnatal depression is more intense and lasts longer. So you have prenatal, and then you have postnatal, and then you have after the baby's born, but then after a while, if it lasts a while, it should only last a few weeks after the baby's born. But if it lasts longer, then you have postnatal depression. And that's even more serious. It can leave a new mother feeling completely overwhelmed, inadequate, and unable to cope. Have you? We've talked about it all. And let me say the one more. It's called psychotic depression. Psychotic depression. This occurs when a person has severe depression plus some form of psychosis, such as having disturbing false beliefs or a break with reality, delusions, or hearing or seeing upsetting things that others cannot hear or see. We call it hallucinations. Have any of you experienced any of these types of depression? Well, can you say that you have experienced or are experiencing at least 4 of the symptoms I quoted earlier? Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Used to be an old saying, to their own self be true. You cannot be true to anybody else until you're true to yourself. Simple as that. What I want to leave with you is this. Do not let people, not even your own misguided opinion of yourself, to keep you from getting the help you need in order to become the person you were meant to be. Don't let other people's opinion of you or your misguided opinion of yourself to keep you from getting the help and assistance and the guidance and the direction that you need to have. How you doing there, Robert? He says that when I was depressed, it seemed no one wanted to help. I asked for help, but no one wanted, even Christians. I had to help myself. I had to look up scriptures to deal with depression. And I allowed Christ, and of course it doesn't have to help me continue. Says I help Christ. Not let me see any further. And I allowed Christ, I guess, into my life, or something of that nature. I know Robert's a very faithful man. You have to understand this, dear hearts. You are somebody. You're unique and you're wonderfully made, who at times will have to deal with a bump or two on the road that leads to your destiny. Some of the bumps you will be able to go around. Others you will not be able to avoid, but will have to brace for the impact that you will surely feel. Knowing your success in life will never be determined by how many bumps you experienced while traveling the road that you find yourself on, but rather it is how well you hold out and hold out. For it is he that endures unto the end that arrives finally at the place he wants to be. I'm going to leave you with this. Then we're through. We have a list. I'm going to read a little bit of the list of the persons that have gone through depression. You'll be surprised who actually has gone through a little depressive moments in their lives. They've gone through some things, but they overcame the things they went through. We have people like Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States during the Civil War. Halle Berry. Beethoven, the great composer. Brooke Shields, an American actress. Charles Dickens, the writer of A Christmas Carol and A Tale of Two Cities. These people suffered with depression. But they did not allow their depression to keep them from doing and accomplishing what they were meant to do and accomplish in their lives. And then if that list was not impressive enough, I'm going to leave you with one more person who went through a depression in his life. His Hebrew name is Yeshua HaMashiach. His transliterated name that most of us know him by is Jesus the Christ. Good afternoon, Madeline. Tells me that he went through some things. Yes, he did. And he went through them. It was hard times. Let me tell you, all right. It was hard times. I'm going to read one scripture to you. I'm going to read two scriptures to you. And then, in fact, I'll maybe start this next time, because I really want to get into that a little bit. But let me say this, that even Yahshua had problems. Even he had a moment there in Gethsemane. He cried and he cried out, I don't want to drink from this bitter cup. In other words, I don't want to die. And he knew what kind of death he was going to have to endure. And we're going to talk about it maybe next time that we meet on Monday. But he went through, truly. And I really, that's why I really do love the life of Yahshua. I love the life of Jesus. I love reading about it because it does something to me. Even beyond the spiritual aspects of it. Just who he was. And the example that he gives can change anybody's life for the better. And we're going to show you how this man of God, this God-man, went through the same thing that we go through. He went through depression, helplessness, hopelessness. He went through it all. But we're going to tell you how he got out of it. He didn't deny it. He didn't call his power to get him out of it. Because the Bible tells me he had the power to call 10,000 angels. What made him go through what he had to go through? And what happened when he got on the other side of going through? That's how you know a person if they're successful or not. Not so much how much money they make or how much power they amass. It's what happens after they've gone through. What happened to them after they've gone through? That's how you know the measure of a person. What happens to them after they've gone through? Not as they're going through, but after they've gone through, where are they now? Because whether you want to admit it or not, we're all going through something. People that are depressed, don't villainize them. Don't minimize what they're going through. Don't do that. It's real. If it's real to you, it's real. If it's real to me, it's real. You can take what I've gone through in my life and done a better job than I have. That may be true. But don't put that on me. And I'm not going to put that on you. People that are depressed, it's a real mental illness. It's a real situation. It's a real challenge they have to face. It's a real challenge they have to go through. It's a real thing. It's not no magical thing or some imaginary thing. It's not that at all. It's real. If it's real to you, it's real. One thing my wife has always said, and I've noticed it over the years myself, but she always says, she said, Gerald, people who do have mental health issues, they seem to gravitate towards you. Why is that? I said, because I don't judge them. I just don't. People that come in, and I mean really people that really do have some mental health issues, paranoia, schizophrenia in an extreme sense. I love them just the same. How you doing? Sit with them. If they want something to eat, I'll get them something to eat. That's who I am. Maybe because I was born with a challenge myself. Maybe because I've been depressed myself over these many years. I have had moments of depression. So I have a heart for anybody who's struggling. I have a heart for them. I have a less of a heart for those who are struggling and refuse to accept the fact that they're struggling. I do have a less heart for that because it'll never change for you. I want your life to be all that it was meant to be. It wasn't meant to be what you think you're accepting it to be. It was meant to be so much more. But unless you understand that, you'll never realize that. And unless you realize that, nothing will ever stay the same again. So until next time, which will be on Monday, We'll continue part of this, and we'll go on with the history of mental illness here in America and around the world. The tragic history. That's what I call it. The tragic history of people towards other folk, other people who have mental health issues. We haven't been good. We haven't been kind. We haven't been understanding. We haven't been giving. We haven't been compassionate. We certainly have not been Christian. We haven't been any of those things. Though sometimes we hid behind our Christ facade. We were everything but what Christ stood for. So until next time, be of good cheer. Have a wonderful weekend. Happy Mother's Day to every mother. Every mother out there, have a happy Mother's Day. My wife says people who go through major surgeries usually go through a depression. And that's true. Robert said Jesus hung around sinners, but he was special. I try not to do that. I'm messed up enough by myself. Okay. Okay, at least you recognize it. That's good, though. That's good. Oh, yeah, Christ, he had enough control of him. You know, he had enough control. He knew who he was. When you know who you are, you don't have to worry about who you hang with. But most of us got to be careful because we're not that strong. Thank you so much to my wife. A great program, she says, very informative. God bless you. We're going to talk more about this at a later time. And pray for us. My wife will be on tonight and on her broadcast. And go to Teresa Jeanette Scott on her page on Facebook. It'll give you all the information about some of the programming that she is. On Sundays, she has a program from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. It's on the FM dial, WPEB 88.1 FM or 95.1 FM, either one on your FM dial. She has a wonderful program. It's educational, it's enlightening, and it's entertaining all at once. A lot of gospel music, a lot of conversation goes on there, and we invite you to tune in every Sunday between 11 to 1 o'clock, 11 a.m. to 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. West Philadelphia's Center for Education, Enlightenment, and Entertainment. You'll hear her there. WPEB 88.1. Just remember that, 88.1 FM on your radio dial. And until we see each other again, happy Mother's Day to the mothers, daddies, children, friends, and neighbors. Treat your mothers right. Treat your neighbor's mother right, because they've been a blessing, sure enough. I know mine has been for me. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful day. And see you next time on Monday on Chatting with the G-Man. As my wife said, I was going to talk about it. We are going to talk about it next time we get together. We win. We win. I win. You win. We all win. And you can't lose with the stuff we use. Have a wonderful day. God bless. See you real soon.